Active galaxies are galaxies whose centers emit abnormally large amounts of energy from a tiny region in their core. This energy usually fluctuates with intensity. At least 10% of all known galaxies are active. Active galaxies include radio galaxies, Seyfert galaxies, and quasars. Radio galaxies emit a large amount of energy in the radio part of the spectrum, hence their name, radio galaxies. Radio galaxies are generally elliptical, and the intense radiation emanates not from the main part of the galaxy. The radiation comes from its core and from regions outside the galaxy and on the other side of it called radial lobes. So if here's the center of our galaxy, we have two radial lobes on either end. The spectrum of the radio galaxy tells astronomers that the emission is a synchrotron radiation. If we break down this word, syn means with, chron means time. Synchrotron radiation creates electrons traveling at near the speed of light and spiraling around the magnetic field. Electrons are shot out from the core in narrow jets. The electrons eventually collide with the gas surrounding the galaxy. They are spread out to form the lobes. So if this is the core of the galaxy, this would be one jet coming out the side here. The other jet would be coming out the other side. The Seyfert galaxy is a spiral galaxy having an abnormal luminous nucleus. The core luminosity of the Seyfert galaxy may amount to the entire radiation output of the galaxy, of the Milky Way galaxy. The radiation is at many wavelengths, including visible, infrared, ultraviolet, and X-rays. The radiation fluctuates in intensity, sometimes changing dramatically in a few minutes. The Seyfert galaxies have gas clouds moving at speeds of about 10,000 kilometers per second. In some instances, the core has ejected gas in small jets. Quasars. Quasars are extremely luminous and extremely distant. The name quasar is a contraction of the term quasi-stellar radio source. In the first photos taken of quasars, they looked like ordinary stars. More recent images show that quasars often lie in faint, fuzzy-looking objects that appear to be in ordinary galaxies. Quasars have the largest redshifts known, meaning they are moving the fastest. The most distant is one seen at about 10 billion light years away. Remember, the universe is only 14 billion years old, so the maximum that we could potentially see or detect is 14 billion light years away. So these are some of the most distant objects out there. And think about it, if it is 10 billion light years away, these quasars, the light produced from these quasars are taking 10 billion years to get to the Earth. So we're looking at essentially the past. We're looking at 10 billion years ago. To be visible at such distances, an object must be immensely luminous. A typical quasar is about 1,000 times more luminous than the Milky Way. There's an example of a quasar. At the core of an active galaxy probably lies an enormous black hole. It would be about the size of the Earth's orbit around the sun. It would have a mass of about 100 million or more solar masses. Around the black hole is an accretion disk, tens to hundreds of astronomical units in radius. Remember, an astronomical unit is the distance between the sun and the Earth. Material falling into the disk releases gravitational energy that may heat the material to several millions of degrees Kelvin. Some of the material in the disk may boil off into space. If the disk has a strong magnetic field, it may channel the escaping gas into narrow jets from the top and the bottom of the disk. So here's your massive black hole, your accretion disk rotating around, and then the jets, you can think of as the north and the south pole of the excuse me, of the galaxy. Quasars are believed to exist in the centers of galaxies. No galaxy close to the Milky Way has a quasar. Quasars are so distant that we are seeing them when they were quite young, and there was as much gas to fall into the accretion disk. As a galaxy ages, the central black hole eventually consumes the gas around it, and the activity subsides. Perhaps the Milky Way is an active galaxy when it was very young. Quasars are useful to astronomers as probes of intergalactic space. Their light is highly probable of passing through other galaxies and intergalactic gas clouds on its way to Earth. Even if an object is too dim to see, its matter may affect the quasar's light, allowing us to detect these otherwise invisible objects. Many quasars show absorption lines in their spectrum that have different Doppler shifts from those of the emission lines in the quasars themselves. These absorption lines are created by cool gas clouds lying in between us and the quasar. These cool gas clouds within the galaxies, or it may lie in intergalactic clouds that have not yet formed into galaxies. So if we have a quasar, a cloud, and then the Earth, the cloud can absorb and alter the lines as the light passes through it. Matter between us and the quasar may also affect the light in a remarkable way, creating what's called gravitational lenses, or also known as gravitational lensing. About a half a dozen quasars seem to have nearby companion quasars with identical spectra, but slightly different brightnesses and shapes. The distance of the two or more nearly identical objects so close together is unlikely. Astronomers think that the companions are actually images of a single quasar created by a gravitational lens. In ordinary lens forms an image because light bends as it passes through the lens's curved glass. A gravitational lens forms an image because the direction of the light bends as it passes through the curved space around the massive object, such as a galaxy. The galaxy's gravitational force curves the space around it according to Einstein's general theory of relativity. Light rays that would otherwise travel off in other directions and never reach us are bent so that they travel in the direction of the Earth. So if we have a galaxy which obviously has lots of mass, the light from the quasar traveling in this direction can get bent around that gravitational galaxy, and we see here on Earth. If we extend that line of view, it actually looks like the quasar would be here, but it's actually here in the middle. Same thing happens on this side. The light comes over here, the galaxy bends it, it strikes the Earth. So from Earth, it looks like it's over here. So we're actually seeing the same quasar, but not in the correct location. We actually can't see the exact location of the quasar because the galaxy is blocking it. Gravitational lenses have created forms other than multiple images of quasars. I'll show you a picture on the next one that shows these arcs create when light from a distant galaxy was bent into elongated shapes as it passes through the galaxy's cluster. The shape of these arcs depends on the mass of the material within the cluster, so astronomers can use these arcs to measure the cluster's mass. Masses of the cluster support the idea of this dark matter again. So here's your image. So it kind of looks like these smears. So here's your gravitational lensing. Here's a gravitational lens. We have some over here, over here. So these long smears are the gravitational lensing where the light's sort of getting bent and distorted. And that's it for today, I believe. Oh, no, a couple more slides. Okay, so galaxy clusters, just like we had clusters of stars, we can have clusters of galaxies. Galaxies are often found in groups called galaxy clusters. Groups of galaxies are held together by their mutual gravity, just like star clusters are. A typical cluster is more than several million light years across, and it may contain a few thousand galaxies. So the next slide, I'm going to show you a drawing of the local galaxy group, which contains about 30 galaxies, including our own Milky Way. It's the three largest members of our spiral galaxies. We have the Milky Way, the M31, which is the Andromeda Galaxy, and the M33. That's all part of the local group. Smaller members include the Magellantic Clouds and the satellite galaxies M31. So here's M33, here's your clouds, our Milky Way, M31. These are the sort of the largest key components of our local group. Here's your clouds. And that's it for this lecture. See you guys later.